Chris, tell us about this photo here.
Um, we're still on the same building as we were in the last two photos,
Yeah.
but this kind of gives you an idea as to that building wasn't very stable.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. And what is the building? Do you know, like it was a school building
we
or something,
were
or?
we were told that it was one of the former governor's mansions.
Yeah.
There's actually a swimming pool on the roof and
Hmm.
uh, marble floors, marble staircases.
Yeah. Yeah. Just looking at the picture, and I'm interested in your response to this. One of the things that comes to my mind is, on the one hand, this sort of shows American power, right? Because you don't have Iraqi soldiers on top of some building in New York or Boston, waving or with the Iraqi flag. So here you have American soldiers in Iraq with an American flag on top of this building that was destroyed, I'm guessing, during the invasion of 2003.
And if you can tell, nobody's wearing a Kevlar.
Yeah, no one's wearing a Kevlar vest.
Well, we're wearing our vest, but we're not wearing our actual
right.
Kevlar
You're not wearing.
helmets.
That's right. You're not wearing your helmets. So that indicates a degree of American power, and yet at the same time, this amazingly powerful military finds itself bogged down in this country because of the kind of war that it is. Right. I mean, when the U.S. Army, when the Marines, when they're going toe to toe with the Iraqi army, that's a pretty easy thing. But now it's a very different kind of war.
It is. I mean, you can definitely tell the difference. We're all in uniform. You know, the Marines, the Navy, the Air Force, the Army.
Yeah.
We're all in a set uniform. Even some of the other forces, the Macedonians and the Australians, and some of them had their uniforms as well.
Sure.
But with the terrorists, they dress like normal everyday people, and we're in an area where they blend in.
Mm-hmm.
We stand out like sore thumbs. So
Yeah. So you don't know when you're looking at any street, you don't know who's friend or foe.
exactly, and
Yeah.
that's like in our other discussions. That's where that trust becomes real shady because
Yeah.
now you just don't know.
You just don't
There's
know.
that uncertainty.
And you probably got a lot of people who are stuck in the middle, right? That if the Americans identify them as being friendly with the insurgents, there's trouble. But if the insurgents identify them as being friendly with the Americans, there's trouble. So you got a lot of people stuck in the middle.
A lot of a lot of the people were excited that we were there. They wanted us there. They wanted Saddam out of power. They want the insurgents gone. But your insurgents are turning around and saying, if you don't do this, we're going to kill your whole family.
Right.
Or, we'll pay you X amount if
Yeah.
you do this.
If your kid goes out and plants this ID, we'll give you whatever, $20 or
20,000 dinar, or,
Mm.
sometimes they would tell them, we'll give you 50,000 American dollars, or something to that if you do this for us.
Mm.
However, if you don't, we'll kill you and your whole family.
Right.
And so a lot of them are like, morally, we're like, we don't want to do this. This is wrong. But they were doing it to try to save their family.
I mean, because a lot of them must have been able to see that with all these, the improvised explosive devices go off, things are getting blown up, the U.S. military, plus you mentioned other countries, it's not just the U.S. is there, Britain's there, Australia's there, a lot of countries are there. There's the response, stuff is getting blown up.
Just a lot of innocent people were dying.
Yeah.
They're driving to work and car bombs come in and go off,
Yeah.
it's...
So there must have been a lot of Iraqis who realize this isn't the way for this country to get better, right?
Right.
But if it looks like they're helping you guys, or even if they're not, if they're just trying to mind their own business, right? Then they can get in trouble with the insurgents, and it's a tough thing, and reminds me a lot of Vietnam in some ways. But let's look at another. In a previous discussion, we looked at something you wrote, and of course, you don't claim to be a professional poet or a professional writer. You just wrote some things down that just expresses some of your thoughts. Would you read this for us?
Sure. No lights, driving at night, dangerous deep drop-offs on either side. You may ask, how did I come out alive? I had to fight within close quarters, nothing to use but a knife. The smell of smoke from a bomb in the distance and the sound of gunshots near, taking cover, killing men, killing women, killing children. Am I wrong, or did I just survive?
When you look at that, what sticks out the most in your own mind right now?
Am I wrong?
What do you mean by that?
Out of this whole thing, it's, was I wrong to kill these people, women, children, was it wrong? Was it wrong morally, ethically?
Do you mean you personally, or you being part of this machine that?
Just me being part of the machine, is it just all wrong? This particular poem that I wrote was not, of course, driving at night with no lights. We did that. I personally did that.
Yeah.
Hearing the gunshots, the smell of smoke from the bombs,
Yeah.
Those are things that I specifically encountered. Some of the other stuff within the poem was just stuff that, I assume other soldiers had done.
Sure.
So this particular one was a little bit of me and possibly a little bit of somebody else.
Thinking about the larger
This was
context.
just, I was looking at it from a larger picture,
Yeah.
not just from my own perspective.
Yeah. Is there any particular memory that, just sort of sticks with you the most? Or like when your mind goes to Iraq, does it tend to go back to one particular thing?
No,
No?
it really doesn't. When I first got home, it did. It went back to that scene of the woman that I
That you
hit with
described in the
that I
different
described
discussion, the woman in front of your Humvee.
in the Humvee.
Who wouldn't move,
Every time I closed my eyes, I could see her. So when I first came home, that was a big deal. That was a big issue and a big problem that I had, because that was the one memory
Yeah.
that just kept coming back to me.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the memories that I have, because I've suppressed so many of the bad ones, that I've forgot a lot. But some of the memories that I go back to now are some of the better memories.
What's an example?
We bought a goat from one of the locals, and we actually had to sell the goat back to him because they told us we couldn't bring a live goat. We couldn't bring a goat on base.
Oh.
But we had actually bought this goat, and we were going to kill it and barbecue it, and we were told that we couldn't do that, so we had to find the farmer and sell him his goat back. So
Did he give the money back, or?
he gave us the exact amount we gave him.
Okay.
We explained to him,
Yeah.
hey, we can't keep it. They won't
Yeah.
let us take it back.
Oh.
And he was like, not a problem.
And why
Gave
is
us the
that? Why
money
is
back.
that a good memory? Just because that's kind of one of the crazy things you
It's
guys
just
do?
kind of one of the crazy
One of
things
the
that
weird
we
things you
did.
guys did.
We used to stop at local markets and buy watermelons and street foods, and so I mean, there's a lot of good memories there
Yeah.
too.
When you did that, when you pulled off to go into a market to buy these things, did you still set up security? Did you still have guys sort of on security?
We
just
were
in case?
supposed to. Our gunners usually stayed with the vehicles,
Okay.
and kept watch.
Yeah.
Everybody inside the vehicle would typically get out
Yeah.
and rummage, and then whenever someone was done from that vehicle, then they would go and replace the gunner so that the gunner could go
Could go in.
in and shop, or if the gunner didn't want to, he'd just tell us, hey, bring me back some chicken, or
Yeah.
bring me back something to eat. And
Sure. Yeah.
so we would do
yeah.
that.
Are there things here back in the States, like a sound or smell, that will kind of bring you back? You know, Vietnam vets will often say the sound of a helicopter. How about you?
Yeah, I remember when I first got home, um, I was actually at a National Guard armory in Little Rock,
Mm-hmm.
and I heard what sounded like a gunshot. Uh, I don't know if it was actually a gunshot because the armory was in a really rough neighborhood, or if it was just a vehicle backfiring. But I hit the ground and immediately reached into my car and was searching for a weapon.
Wow.
So when I worked at the casino, somebody'd bang a pot and I'd flinch, or
Wow. So when that thing happened, when you heard that sound and you hit the ground and you started looking for the weapon, sometimes vets say that in that moment they're back. I mean, they're back in Vietnam. At that moment, you were back in Iraq.
at that moment I was back in Iraq. I was looking for my rifle.
Wow. How long did that whole incident play out? How long did it take for that to play out? So that you came back, said, no, actually I'm in Little Rock, and yeah.
That particular incident it actually happened really quickly.
Okay.
I was able to kind of snap out of it. It dawned on me, hey, when I couldn't find a weapon and I looked up and saw that it wasn't a Humvee, it was a car,
Right, yeah.
then things started clicking that, hey, I'm in the States, I'm not there. And
Yeah, yeah,
I was able to pull out of it fairly quickly.
yeah. Here's a question I asked the other day of a Vietnam veteran who, had a lot of really tough experiences and, just kind of lives with those memories. And I asked him, I said, if I could give you a magic potion that would make all of those memories go away so you don't live anymore with your memories of Vietnam, would you take it? And he said no. How about you? If I could give you the magic pill, would you?
I don't think I would.
Really? So, I mean, well, you probably can't explain it, but, just talk about it for a minute. Because on the one hand, this is something that, has caused you a lot of stress and a lot of hardship. But you say if you could magically get rid of it, you wouldn't.
No.
So explain that or try to explain it to somebody who's never experienced it.
Those experiences have made me who I am today.
Mm.
So if you take and go back in time and you erase all of those memories, who's to say that I'm going to be the same person as I am today?
Mm.
If those memories weren't there, would I be different? And I think that I would be.
Yeah.
But I can take those experiences that I had and those memories that I had and use them for good. Whereas if I can't remember them, then I can't use them.
I mean,
I can't help somebody else. I can't help another veteran out who's struggling with those same problems or those same issues.
For example, this right now.
Exactly.
I mean, a year from now, someone may see this and it's useful to them. Yeah. Suppose that I said, well, Chris, you don't have a choice. You're gonna drink the potion, and you're gonna lose all of your memories of your time in Iraq except for one. You can keep one memory. Which one? What would you keep?
I'd tell you you'd have to kill me because I'm not taking that potion.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's not gonna do it.
I'm just not going to take that potion. But if I didn't have a choice and I had to, I think the one memory that I would probably keep would be that incident with the goat, or
Really?
or
That's interesting.
we had actually stopped in a village. So you've got the main MSR coming down, and then You've
The
got
main
Camp Taji,
MSR's
main supply route.
main supply route.
So you've got Camp Taji.
Yeah.
Then there's this little village, and a few hours up the road, you've got Camp Balad, or Balad, which is the Air Force base that was there. And we used to always stop at that little village there and buy watermelons or buy from their markets. And
Yeah.
one day, every report we ever got was that there was always small arms fire, there was RPGs, there were IEDs going off on convoys, and we never got attacked at this village, ever. And so we asked one of the locals who spoke English, you know, why? Why don't we get attacked? And they said because the insurgents or the terrorists are scared of us. They think we're crazy, is how she put it.
Because you guys would stop there? And,
We would stop. A lot of times we would leave our weapons, our Kevlar helmets, our Kevlar vests, in our Humvees, and just walk among them like we were meant to be there. And because we were crazy enough to do that, the bad guys in that area were like, well, if they're crazy enough to do that, then if we shoot on them, they're crazy enough to shoot back. If we run into a mosque, because technically we weren't allowed, if they was to run into a mosque and use a mosque for cover, we could not fire upon that mosque.
Yeah.
Because it is a place of worship, they're religious. And so, but we were crazy enough that we would track them down and make them pay for shooting at us.
Yeah, that's your interpretation, right, of why they wouldn't hit you, because they thought
They wouldn't hit us
this
because
particular
we were
group is
crazy.
so crazy, and the reason they thought you're crazy is because you're getting out of your vehicles and actually having nice interactions with the local people.
Without any weapons or
Wow.
no protection.
Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like, we went through this hypothetical where you have to give up all your memories except one, and both of them have to do with memories that have to do with nice interactions.
Nice interactions with the people.
The goat story, it's not like some profound story, but it is profound in a way, because it shows that even in that context, it's still possible to have, human relationships, with folks.
Oh yeah. I mean, a lot of the locals were really nice. But you had to be leery because you didn't know if the insurgents has gotten to them, paid them off.
Yeah.
We had a gentleman who worked there on Taji. He held what we called the green badge, which is he is a contractor who didn't have to have any supervision. He could come and go, travel all over, go anywhere he wanted on the base with no military escorts.
Yeah.
And another unit had actually they were doing some house-to-house stuff, and he had been taking the timers out of washing machines and dryers, and somebody from his family was building IEDs with those timers.
So it turns out that this guy who was highly trusted was actually working for the insurgents.
Was working under the table.
Yeah, and that just makes it tough, huh? You just can't trust. Yeah, just that problem of trust. Well, as you look back now, I think this is my last question for you. As you look back now on Iraq in general, I don't know the extent to which you're keeping up on the news, but as you look back on that whole Iraq situation, what are your thoughts now? You left there in 2005, so it's been.
I actually came home towards the end of 2004. I had been deployed previously on a stateside mission.
Okay.
And with the National Guard, you can only be deployed up to 24 months
I see.
at a time.
Okay.
before you have to come off deployment.
I
And
see.
I had hit that 24 months, but I could sign a waiver and stay, which I wanted to stay with my unit. I wanted to stay in country, finish my deployment. That's why I enlisted into the military, was to have that camaraderie, that friendship,
Yeah.
that sense of loyalty and stuff like that, honor and pride.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so I didn't want to leave my unit behind.
Right.
And my wife at the time actually she went through the entire chain of command and made it to where they forced me to leave
Oh.
at the end of
She
2004.
wanted you home. Yeah, she wanted you home. So that's 2004. So, at this moment, then we're looking 14 years back about. So as you look back on that, as you look back on just the Iraq thing in general, what's the big sort of summary thought you have?
I kind of want to go back.
Really? So like if somebody said, hey, I've got an all expenses paid trip, round trip to Iraq, put you up in a hotel in Baghdad, you would take it?
I'd take it
Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm curious. I don't keep up with the news at all. That's just when we were in country. There was a news clip that come on, and we got to looking at it real closely, and they were saying that they gave the exact date, and they said that a car bomb had went off and killed U.S. soldiers and wounded some, and we had been in that exact location that entire day, and nothing ever took place.
Oh.
We were actually there cleaning up the aftermath of the car bomb that went off a week prior in that spot.
Oh. So it seemed like the facts of
So
the
it
story
seemed
were
like the
off, and-
facts were off, and so it's like, can I trust the media?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean,
So I kind of
think-
quit watching the news
yeah.
after that because it was like, it's pointless. They're not going to tell the truth. They're not going to report the truth.
Yeah.
So why watch a lie?
And you hear that from vets a lot. Yeah. But so you'd like to go back?
I would
Yeah.
like to go back and
Yeah.
see what's changed.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know that I'd recommend going back right now.
No, it seems to be
Yeah.
picking up. The last I heard, it
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
that it's been picking back up.
Yeah, to the Vietnam guys, Vietnam is such a different place now and much calmer now, and actually, rising economically. I think Iraq is still in a pretty.
I know a
Tough
lot of the
place.
guys from my unit
Yeah.
were asked, including myself, we were asked to come back as civilian
as
contractors
Yeah.
and do armed security work.
Mm.
And I really wanted to,
Really.
and for the money. That was the only reason,
Oh,
was for the
your
money.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to pay a lot of stuff off. I wanted
Yeah.
to have a nice pocket there, put
Yeah.
back in savings,
Sure.
because when I was deployed, I made quite a bit of money while I was overseas because it's all tax free.
Right. Not a whole lot to spend your money on.
Not a lot to spend your money on, really.
Yeah.
So out of both of my deployments, the one to Iraq and the one to Kuwait, I made roughly close to $100,000.
Mm.
And when I got home, I didn't even have $20,000 in the bank.
Mm.
My ex-wife had doubled up on our house payment, doubled up on our vehicle payments, paid off all of our bills.
Oh.
So both vehicles were paid off. The house was almost paid off.
Mm.
All of our furniture was old and outdated, so she went and got, new couch, new kitchen tables,
Yeah.
new bedroom furniture and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So you think about it and you're like, $100,000 is a lot of money.
But it can go pretty quick.
But
too,
it
if
goes
you-
real quick when you have a lot of bills to pay.
So the contractor opportunity came up, and you thought about that for a bit, but it just wasn't in the cards for you.
She didn't want me to go, and
Sure.
I respected her, and
Yeah.
so I didn't go.
Yeah. Well, let's hope, and I mean this sincerely, let's hope that Iraq, you know, a couple decades from now, you know, can be a stable country that's on its feet, and you know, and then you'll be able to go back and see how nice it's become. Let's hope
Yeah,
that
me and my
let's
wife
hope
are
that
planning a
happens.
trip to Germany, so we'll be close.
Yeah, closer. Well, thank you very much, Chris.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.